last episode, we were driving back to the airport after an interesting and productive event at Station South Padre Island. It was time for us to get back on CG01 for the last leg of our trip. We were headed to Houston to sleep for the night and get prepared for the next morning. We ended up joining the Commandant of Sector Houston Galveston. As he met with those in charge, we grabbed some spots in the very full room of Coasties who were eagerly awaiting his arrival. Sector Houston Galveston was commissioned on December 15, 2004 to bring under one unified command Group Galveston, Marine Safety Office Houston Galveston, and Vessel Traffic Service Houston. By doing so, the Coast Guard is able to provide security and safety for the Southeast Texas and Southwest Louisiana Gulf Coast region more efficiently. The cool thing about being part of all of these different all-hands meetings is that they are all just that, different. Although the Commandant and Master Chief initially talked about the same things, they personalized each presentation to relate to the location. And on top of that, the crews in each location had different concerns. This group, for example, seemed to be heavily oriented toward marine safety and security, where it was headed and what changes they could expect to how they were doing their jobs.
I'm pretty confident I know where you stand on the Coast Guard's role in MTS based on the guidance I've seen. My question is, sir, do you feel we're at FOC for our vision and the way ahead? And if not, what are the major obstacles to getting to that point?
We have the right vision and a great attitude. Okay? But hope is not a method. Okay? We had the national conference on maritime recovery at MTX a little over a year ago. We're in the process of creating the National Maritime Recovery Plan, which is one of the required plans under the National Strategy for Maritime Security. That all needs to go. We need to finish that. We need to define our relationship with the private sector, how we stand up these recovery cells, and how all that works. And I'm assuming that's the kind of work you're doing at the port level here. It is reflective of the great lessons learned we had following Katrina with the Maritime Transportation Recovery Unit we set up in New Orleans. And there was a smaller effort after the oil spill a year ago, July, in Lake Charles, where we actually had the intersection of the ship channel and the ICW impacted by an oil spill, and we actually figured out a way to move cargo and product through that and then decontaminate it so we could get critical deliveries in, which we never would have done 10 years ago. So I think, especially in this district, we get it. It's a question of building out the doctrine and the procedures and then institutionalizing those relationships with industry so when it happens, especially at the port level, we can do this rapidly. And this is one of those things where you're going to be out ahead of the Coast Guard because the National Recovery Plan will be a high-level document, tell you what our goals and general procedures and how we're going to try and organize this and do it. And hopefully it'll codify at a high-level policy structure, which you've already done down here in the port.
During our initial interview with the Commandant, we asked him about the concerns surrounding marine safety.
Change-centric is the word that I'm using. We need to be more adaptable, more flexible. We need to be able to sense our environment and actually sense changes in demand signal for our missions. Right now, we're making some significant changes in the marine safety program in the Coast Guard, but if you look back over the last 10 or 15 years, we were seeing changes in our environment that we probably didn't react to at the time that we should have. We had former Vice Commandant Jim Card. We brought him in. He did a survey, talked to our stakeholders out there. We know where over the last 10 or 15 years where maybe we haven't kept up with technology or the services that they expect of us and how we deal with the mariners. So we're about the business of changing that. Just because we need to make changes in the program is not a mandate to move it someplace outside the Coast Guard. I'm not in favor of that, and I think realistically none of our stakeholders are as well. And when you think about some of the changes in the Coast Guard, like the creation of the Deployable Operations Group, we've taken all of our deployable specialized forces, put them under a single flag officer, so we can create a force package that can create the particular effect we want in response to an incident or a problem, and then deploy them in and have them be effective immediately. If you can take that kind of a paradigm and apply it to the larger organization, how do we create a flexibility so when there's a brand new technology brought into our world of work, how do we adapt to that? One of the things we're finding out right now is there's a rapid increase in the amount of liquefied natural gas facilities that are applying for permits in this country. When I became Commandant, there were probably about 5 or 6 facilities in the country. We have well over 40 permits on file right now. So when you have a rapid expansion of technology into your world of work, how do you respond to that as an organization? And could you have anticipated that 10 or 15 years ago and been better prepared to deal with it now, where you're almost chasing the problem rather than being in front of it? That's the kind of organization I'm talking about.
I learned so much on this trip, not just about the Commandant, but the crews that respect him and the future of the Coast Guard. He makes you a believer in what he strives for and what he wants to accomplish during his time as the Commandant. He left me with some things to think about and real emotions about how he feels about the Coast Guard and those serving.
Well, the strength of our organization is our people. And our people are only going to be as strong as our human resource systems and the accession points by which we bring them into the Coast Guard and bring them into our culture. And that would be whether it's the Academy, Officer Candidate School, direct commission programs, or our boot camp where our enlisted folks come through. And we've really tried in the last 20 months to take a look at all those institutions. So we're not picking out one particular part of the training establishment. What we're saying is, how's that entire system serve us, and what do we need to do with the training accession points to make sure we've taken that part of the Coast Guard and repositioned it for the 21st century as well. This is a very unusual organization. We're unique to the world. Even among Coast Guards, we're unique because of the breadth of missions we have. I'm astounded every day by what we pull off with the resources we have. And when you see the dedication of our people, the rescues, the responses, what we do on a day-to-day basis on the waterfront around the world for this country, it's extraordinary. It makes it very easy to fill my shoes.
Very easy to fill his shoes? I don't buy it. When the time comes, I think they're going to be very big shoes to fill. As our trip ended, we reflected on the time we spent with the Commandant and his entourage, and look forward to coming home and sharing that experience with you. We hope you enjoyed watching our excursions with the Commandant, and I will fill you in on an inside tip. There's a rumor going around that he's invited us to come back for round 2. We'll keep you posted.